Welcome to the Underreported Stories podcast. I'm Christy Clark, and these are the 5 underreported stories that you need to know. All right, we are here with Clarkson, Lawson. Oh my gosh, babe, I'm so happy you're here.
This is a long time coming. I've been waiting to be on your show.
Oh my gosh, I know. You're like an internet personality as defined by Google. I love that that is in your bio because I was like, I guess like cultural, political, commentary, like TikTok star. I was trying to think of all ways to describe you, and then literally I Googled you, and it does in fact say internet personality.
It does. No, it's very hard to define what I do because I don't only talk about politics, and I feel like that's a lot of us. And like one day I was trying to figure out what to put in my bio because I don't want to only talk about politics. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to Google my name. And I Googled it, and I was like, all right, I think we've got it.
Internet personality. I love it. Well, you have been blowing up on TikTok for pissing people off.
Yeah.
And I love it. We should probably roll some of your clips. I love it. But why do you think that your takes get people so riled up? I think it's because they're more effective, but I'd love to hear your own opinion.
I've been asking myself that question a lot. I genuinely don't know because I feel like I'm not like mean or anything, but maybe I am. I think it's because I'm gay and because I'm white and because I am perceived as somebody of privilege. I think that's why a lot of people like get angry at my TikToks, especially when I talk about race issues, because like I don't think that we should be bound by our identity when it comes to our opinions. I don't think your identity holds any weight. So I'm happy to talk about Black issues. I'm happy to talk about straight or gay issues. And I think that really makes people mad in a culture where they think your opinion is only eligible to be heard if you like have this amount of pigmentation in your skin or if you're this sexuality. So I think that might be why, but to be honest, I have no idea. Maybe I'm just very hateable.
No, that's not it at all. I think you're so lovable. Like I remember our first interaction, I was like, oh my gosh, he's so sweet. Like that is not what you give off. It's just so interesting because I think that people say, oh, the left loves the identity politics, and we'd be lying to ourselves if we said the right didn't have problems with identity politics as well.
Absolutely.
When we're looking at who Trump is going to pick as his vice president, so many people are like, it should be a Black man or it should be a woman. I'm like, why does it matter? Like, just pick the most qualified person. They're still going to vote for you. Yet somehow conservatives, people that identify as Republicans, whatever, they all kind of lump in. They start going down this identity politics road. It's very tricky.
Yeah, and you see it with influencers too. I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't think I would have the platform I have if I wasn't gay. I mean, I'm sure I would be successful, but it would be a lot harder for me. But people are so enveloped in identity now that it's become a tool to use. And I'm glad that I'm gay, because if I was just a straight white man, I don't think I'd be very successful.
Oh my gosh, no, you'd be that one guy. Have you seen him on TikTok that he says like women, if you find a Pilates woman, like wife her up. They shouldn't, like women should not be working 9 to 5s. Like they need to go to Pilates and relax. Have you seen this guy?
I haven't seen him, but I've seen videos like that.
I'll message it to you after. He's blown up over 2 videos and he can't say anything else because that's all that makes him go viral. So at least you're not in that box.
That's true. At least I'm not talking about women in Pilates. That's a blessing.
For real. All right, you ready to get into the 5 underreported stories?
I am.
All right, let's do this. And the 5 underreported stories that you need to know are brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're shifting your support from the leftist progressive agendas to the Christian conservative causes of Patriot Mobile. If you're interested in joining the Red Economy, check out patriotmobile.com/Chrissy. That's patriotmobile.com/CHRISSY. All right, our first story we got. It's California, this crazy city of Huntington Beach, which I guess is like semi-conservative-ish, depending on where you are. They have banned non-governmental flags from city buildings. So like no pride flags, no. I think you can have the state flag or like the city flags, whatever. But other than state, city, American flag, nothing else. People are pissed. What are your thoughts?
Well, I genuinely don't understand it. And I know the people that are pissed are usually just like LGBTQ activism centers where they literally monetize their victimization of gay people and trans people. So I understand why they're pissed because they're being paid to be. But the American flag, the state flag, all of these flags already include us. So I don't understand why we need special treatment to now be shown that, oh, okay, we also support gay people or we also want to include gay people. It's like, that is not inclusive. I know I watched an interview earlier about this, And the like gay, lesbian, butch activist woman was like, oh, I don't know why they changed this inclusive policy. I'm like, that policy is not inclusive because it's not inclusive to straight people. So how are you going to frame this as an inclusive policy when you're putting flags up that only, highlight one group of people? I don't think it's fair. I believe in equality for everybody, including straight people. And I think it's good that the public is on our side on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't wrap, I don't know how to put it. Like, my mind does not wrap around the idea or the concept that you don't feel included by the American flag. I understand if we felt that way 100 years ago. Totally understand. We're talking about 2024, okay? There's no reason why the American flag you should look at it and say, oh, it stands for all these terrible bad things. Like, no, it stands for the promise, the future of tomorrow. And like, we can hopefully only develop into a better society.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that when we're pushing, I mean, what is it? Diversity, equity, inclusion, they say over and over again, which is just racism, no equality, and inclusion for people that have been marginalized in their own mind.
Yeah, I mean, even 100 years ago, I can't even see the American flag not being inclusive. So it's hard for me. I don't think I can wrap my head around it either. But people don't take pride in their homeland anymore, and I think that's where the problem lies, because they don't feel included in the American flag because they hate America. Now, if you loved the country, you would feel included, and it's very weird that gay people specifically don't feel included by the American flag. Because does that say that gay people don't love our country? Because I mean, in my experience, that's not true. But these activist groups and these nonprofits make it seem like if you are in the alphabet mafia, you hate America, and that flag's not enough for you. And I just don't think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I get that. I feel the way about LGBT activists that I feel the way about like feminist activists as well. I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, we live in a wonderful society. Is it perfect parity, Wonderland here? No, it's not. It's a little bit of a mess sometimes. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to be a women's rights activist, I want to look something along the lines of like a woman named her name is Christine Kane. She's a pastor, and she's always out there trying to end human trafficking for women. Like, that to me is like a noble female cause. Like, there are people in Greece, like they didn't have the right to get married as a gay couple until like last week. Why are you fighting battles that have already been won in the U.S. if you're really passionate about these issues? I'm like, it's an international problem. Why don't you try Pakistan? I don't know what you're doing here.
It's because they're not actually passionate about the issues. They're passionate about destroying society. Because this is why I hate activists so much. Because the typical activist cannot contribute to society. So they contribute to destroying it. That's why you see when they get what they want, they keep going. Because the minute you get what you want, you have to step back and say, okay, now how can I contribute to the world? But they're never going to do that. They always find another problem, and then they're never going to be able to look at our country and be like, oh, we made the progress. Let's move on to somewhere where there's actually work to be done, where gay men are being hung from helicopters. They don't want to talk about that. They're like, no. Just make sure if you get misgendered, you get a $10,000 fine.
Oh my gosh.
I hate activists so much. If somebody watching this is an activist, I don't like you.
Yeah, stop yourself now. Stop. Oh my goodness. All right, let's get into our next story. So this one is insane, and I'm going to kind of tee it up for you because I just want to know, basically my question for you out of this is, do you believe in this conspiracy theory? So Boeing, which has had so many problems, I think we saw like 5 incidents of Boeing planes at United Airlines alone in the last week and a half. And the whistleblower who was testifying in this huge lawsuit against Boeing, he worked as their quality control manager, and he was testifying that basically they were putting their planes out before they were quality checked. And he was mysteriously found shot dead in a parking lot of a random hotel. And we're just supposed to believe that he killed himself. Any thoughts on this?
I've been trying to not be so conspiratorial because I feel like
all the time.
So many people online, it's like the minute a celebrity like scratches their finger, they're like, that's a Satan sign. And it's like, I'm trying to step away from that mentality, but this is making it really hard. It's making it really hard. I don't know. I mean, Boeing's a big company. I could imagine that they have people doing things in the background, doing special favors for them. So I would say it's highly plausible, but I won't stake my reputation on it.
I should have Googled beforehand whether or not Hillary Clinton is involved in Boeing at all, because this has like her fingerprints all over it if we're really going conspiratorial route. But I don't know.
If we want to talk about Epstein, I am wholeheartedly. He did not kill himself. I will stake my reputation on that one.
This guy is Epstein 2.0, in my opinion. But you did bring up something that I thought was interesting. You said that conservatives or people online, like people that are quick to conspiracy theories in general, as soon as like, Ice Spice makes a finger motion, people are like, oh my gosh, she's the devil incarnate or whatever. She's the Antichrist come. And I'm just very curious what you think of conservatives jumping to conclusions about very popular things like that, because I find it to be a little irritating. I'm like, you guys are losing the culture wars here.
It's really irritating. I don't think it's something that just conservatives do. I do see people on the left doing it too, but I mean, it's hard because it makes people not be able to take us seriously. And then a lot of times the left can use this to their advantage, just like they did during COVID, because then us people who are not overly conspiratorial will say, hey, this doesn't add up. And they'll be like, you're a conspiracy theorist. And then we get lumped in with people who think, if you fart on stage, you're calling demons or something. Like it's, I mean, I don't know. It's just, it's really frustrating to see it happen. But I think it's an effort of very lost people to try to understand the world around them. So they find a conspiracy theory to help them feel like they already have it figured out, because they don't want to actually admit that things are actually way more complicated than we think they are.
I know. I always think of like Taylor Swift is the first example that always comes to mind. I'm like, you guys, she's not like the devil incarnate here to do Joe Biden's bidding. She's just a pop star who happens to be from like, she's a Hollywood leftist. Of course she's going to like Joe Biden. Why is this surprising to anybody? And then I feel like there are people who have really negative impacts on society that we do get right. Like, I mean, promoting obesity on the Victoria's Secret fashion show, for instance.
Right.
But no one's going to take us seriously about that when we're also claiming that Taylor Swift is the Antichrist, It's like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. We want to be able to talk about these issues from like a normal, clear-headed point of view, but we struggle to do that.
There are a lot of creators that kind of stoke it too, which I don't think is helping, but we'll save that tea for another time.
Yeah, of course. We'll talk offline. All right. Well, I do want to get to our next story, which is, I don't even know. Do we call this person a creator? But a creator partnered with Lyft, and they have this new partnership called Women Plus. So I'm talking about Lyft, the transportation company, by the way. It's like
transportation.
I didn't even think of that. I'm dead. Oh my gosh. Well, basically, they've created this new word called Woman Plus. So it's women can connect with non-binary drivers and other women to, get safer transportation. I am a sexist at heart, and I said I would rather have a man driving me anyway. I know this. I've said this. Clarkson, you do not have to agree with this. For so long, I've said women need to take 2 driver's tests, and people don't like it because I sound like Pearl Davis, and that is not my intention. Men are, generally speaking, they don't try to like appease the other people in their car. So when you're driving the car and you're taking your driver's test and you're like, oh yeah, it's like I have nothing to distract me. That's not actually how women drive. I need my Jeep all the way turned up, the music blaring, and I need somebody talking to me at the same time. That's how I need to take my driver's test, okay? So I know it's mean, but it's true. And ladies, don't get pissed at me. I would do it. I would go take the second driver's test because we all need it for the safety. Anyways, this man... No, go ahead, babe.
No, I think there could be some truth to what you're saying, but I'm gonna plead the fifth.
That's okay. Anyway, this company hired a biological man who wants to be a bad driver. I mean, a woman. So they, I'm totally messing around, by the way, guys. Like, I am not a sexist person, but anyway, let's watch this video so I can stop myself from saying stupid things. All right, let's go.
Hi, I'm Davey, and this is Maxine, and we have been driving with Lyft for over 6 years. And Maxine and I are getting ready to go out driving tonight, but we're going to try something new for the first time in those 6 years. We're going to turn on the Women Plus Connect feature. Women Plus Connect is a feature that matches women and non-binary drivers with more women and non-binary riders. Women Plus Connect gives women and non-binary drivers the option to turn on a preference that will prioritize matches with other nearby women and non-binary riders.
All right, I don't need to hear any more of that.
Women Plus Connect. It sounds like a Wii game for gay people. Is that what the plus is?
No, I said this. I was like, I think I understand what it's like to be gay. You get lumped in with these people you want nothing to do with.
It's women has now become a math equation, just like gay, LGB, plus Q. Oh my gosh. You know, honestly, what's the goal here? Is it to make sure that men can't like make money? What is it? I don't. Is it because women are afraid to?
So Lyft used
with
to
male
be
drivers?
When Lyft was the inception of it was to be Uber for women only. That was the whole point of it. So I don't know if even people remember this, but like I would download Lyft however many years ago it came about because I was like, oh, I just want a female rider. I'm going home from the bars. I'm by myself. It's a safety precaution. And then we had to get rid of that because, you know, competition. Lyft was able to, you know, ride off the coattails of Uber, and I don't blame them for that. But now they're trying to restore it with Women Plus, and I'm like, I'm still getting in a car with a man, so I'm lost.
Well, yeah, they're kind of neglecting the fact that one of the main reasons as to why men are more predatory than women is our biological proclivity to sex. We think about sex more. We are more sexual beings. Now, uncivilized men act on that and then become predators. So this whole idea that a non-binary person who is a biological man is somehow going to be safe from acting on predatory urges or is less likely to be a predator is false because they're still biological men. So I don't understand how a woman can feel safe in a car with a biological man that is in a wig, but they won't feel safe in a car with a biological man without a wig on.
It's the same thing.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I don't know
100%.
if that makes any sense.
Yes,
okay.
Of course. It's what I was saying. I'm like, it's no difference to me whether this person, in fact, I'd feel more comfortable if they weren't borderline delusional wearing the wig and all, calling their car Maxine. Like, what? I mean, it's weird. And it doesn't make me uncomfortable. It doesn't make me want to use the feature. I don't understand why I would use a feature that's just going to pair me with a man. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, they're getting DEI points for it. That's all it is.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think it's actually about the safety of women.
But that's the infuriating part is people, then we go and we look at the grand scheme of things and people, they tally things up. They give these, what are they called? Not DEI, but you're right that they're like DEI
CSG,
points.
Is it ESG?
ESG, there you go. ESG points to something like Lyft and they get these great points and they're such a successful company and they get applauded for not making women any safer. In fact, putting women in a predicament where there used to be a women's only section and now it's got men in it. What?
Right.
Oh, it's infuriating. Yeah. Anyway, all right. If you guys want any more stories like this, if you want them daily, be sure to subscribe to the Underreported Stories Substack. That's underreportedstories.substack.com. There you'll get an email every Monday to Thursday with exclusive Underreported Stories. You can always get the short version on TikTok and Instagram, or you can subscribe to the Substack for longer videos and links to all the stories. Okay, this next story is probably the sole reason I had you on to talk today because I really want to talk to you about this story. So, the White House has asked 70 influencers to basically make unpaid or paid, it's very unclear, posts about Biden's State of the Union address to their followers. And we obviously are out there being influencers of sorts, talking about conservative issues, but we don't get paid by the Trump campaign to talk about this. And I'm just so interested to hear your thoughts on what the Biden administration is doing.
You know, I was writing notes on this story, and it's very hard for me because obviously we do this for a job, and we both know that you can get paid for something you believe in. So I don't want to demonize these influencers for taking the bait if they truly believe that Biden is their choice. I feel like that's fine. But in the same respect, I feel like we need to be a little cautious because a lot of people will take money to do, you know, God knows what, and they don't actually believe it. So I don't know. I mean, I'm very conflicted about this. I wish the GOP would actually start to do things like this because there's a lot of creators who end up losing their momentum because they're not able to do it in unison with their main job. And I think that if the GOP were to actually invest in younger creators, we might see a better turnout of young voters. But
I don't
know.
Fair.
How do you feel about it?
I just think that if you're going to be paid by a massive agency like that or the federal government, you need to have ad in your
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I totally
Yeah.
forgot they weren't putting ad.
No, they're not putting ad. And like I said, we do this full time. There are plenty of places
Right.
like I was very open to my followers about this. Angel Studios paid me $600 to do two videos on their new movie Cabrini, and I did it, and they don't require ad in the post, so I didn't do
Right.
it. It's not mandated. And so now I've just been adding hashtag partner or partnership to everything, so people like know, but it's not that FEC requirement that will get you dinged in the algorithm or whatnot.
Right.
So I guess I see that there's a workaround. What I don't understand is why we have to go to so many lengths to work around these FEC rules with this hashtag ad, and then the Biden administration can pay kids not $600, $200,000 to make videos about them, and they're not having to disclose that to their audience. It feels wrong.
It's very icky. It's very, very icky. And I mean, I am so transparent. Whenever I do a brand deal, I'll literally be on my stories. I'm like, y'all, I'm getting paid for this. Like, I need you to click this link. Like, if you want my content, click the link because I'm literally getting paid for it. I don't care if you believe in it or not. So it's very weird that people can have relationships with their followers that are so manipulative. And it's also very worrying that our president is completely okay with misleading an entire generation. Like, not that needs to be, they need to have ad. Regardless, paid partnership, because it's a paid partnership. You're being paid to like, if you have talking points and you're being paid for it, it is a paid partnership. I don't get it.
I know that's the other thing too, is people don't know it because they don't see like our side of it. A lot of times we get these briefs, right? I'm sure you get them too. And some of them are like, here's 50 things you could say, but feel free to just take this as inspiration and say what you want. Those I truly don't care whether or not you put ad in there, like as long as you say partnership or you're just talking about something you already think. But when you're paid to say something specific, or you're paid to say something on a list of talking points, then I think you need to disclose it. And we have to know that like the Harry Sissons of the world, they get talking points and then they repeat the talking points.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever seen his videos? They are so scripted. It sounds like one of Biden's tweets.
Stupid. They're so stupid. I know.
It's the worst.
And I think there was one video, we were talking about it on my live stream the other day, or it wasn't a video, it was a tweet of Harry Sisson saying like, Republicans don't understand anything about the Chinese spy balloon. You can't just like shoot it down out of nothing. And then quite literally 40 something minutes later, he was like, shout out to Joe Biden for shooting down the Chinese spy balloon.
Yep. I mean, look, get your bag, but like, I don't know. I just wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
No,
I couldn't do that.
I say that too. I was like I said, I'm very honest about this stuff. I got offered to do a campaign for Nikki Haley, and then I got offered to do a campaign for
Really?
Not by the Nikki Haley campaign, but
Okay.
doing a campaign almost against Nikki Haley. And
Got it.
It was a lot of money, and my fiance and I are saving up for a home. It was really hard to say no, but at the end of the day, I was like, I am here to give my opinion and analysis as a conservative, not as a Republican. I'm not here to tell you how to vote or who to vote for. That's never going to be me. That's not what I want to do.
Right.
So I'm like, I can tell you my opinions of how, and you can, gather from my opinions who I'm voting for. But at the end of the day, That's not what I'm supposed to do. And I had to turn it down. And I'm like, the principle, it is. But the principle,
it's really tough.
The principle of it is so hard. Don't get me wrong. But like, you have to do it if you want to have a long career. It's not about making the money up front. It's about your career 30 years down the line that I'm thinking about. And I just don't feel like these people are doing that. They're just trying to make a quick buck, manipulate an election, and dip.
Well, yeah. I mean, your followers have to trust you for years if you want to make this your full-time career, and you can't be selling them. You're selling out your followers when you're doing that, and that's the biggest thing. Is like, our followers are what make us successful. I'm not just going to turn on them and sell them out and for a quick buck. It's not necessary. I mean, maybe they're super poor and they need it, but I mean, luckily I'm in a position, like I still work my 9 to 5. And that's one of the reasons why I still do it, is because I don't want to be put in a position where my lights have to stay on or I have to sell out my followers. And I think if more creators thought like that, we wouldn't be having as much of a problem.
I know. I know. It's just in my head, I'm like a Christian. So I'm like, God's going to provide other things for me other than that. But
absolutely. Yeah.
That's how I feel. But I'm like, I just want to like grab these people and be like, you're going to be okay without it. You don't need to sell people out for this. But I think that's why there's so many of us. People are like, oh yeah, there's so many influencers just like us or whatever. And there's really not. There's only a handful of us that are like here for the long run.
Yeah,
It's true.
absolutely.
Anyway, let's get to someone who takes up just so much brain space in the culture wars. I don't even want to talk about this person or showcase this anymore, but I have to because I've been learning, like, I don't want to talk about this stuff, but it's my job. I have to talk about it. I have to do it, but I don't want to.
I've been going through that for the last 2 months. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this
I
at
know.
all.
I saw somebody was like, it was something about like a naked bowling alley thing, and I was like, I don't want to talk about this, but here we are. Anyway, America's favorite trans person, Dylan Mulvaney, has come out with a new single titled Days of Girlhood. Let's watch this. These are the days.
I mean, is this all it takes to be a girlhood?
Yeah, apparently. Oh my gosh. It was
Oh my
giving,
gosh.
I'm not gonna lie. As a dancer before I got into all of this, it
You were a dancer?
yeah, I was.
I was a cheerleader.
Oh my gosh, we have so much to get about.
I know. Sorry,
it was so
guys.
fun.
We'll get back on
Yeah.
subject.
No, it's actually not that terrible. It reminds me of the dancing. I mean, it's very reminiscent
I was
of like we have so much else to get into. But the dancing in general, I'm looking at, I'm like, it's not good by 2024 standards, but by 2011 Katy Perry standards, which is probably when Dylan Mulvaney stopped cognitively developing. Yes, I actually agree that it was pretty good. Like, not bad.
I think it's like a remake of Friday by Rebecca Black.
She'll sue
That's
you.
the vibe that I
Don't
get.
sing that song. She'll sue you.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's sued this very popular podcast called or used to be called The Morning Toast. It's called The Toast now. They used to sing It's and they sued her for
Oh my
singing that song.
gosh.
So be careful about Rebecca Black. She'll come for you.
Oh God. Okay.
Anyway.
Let me stop.
Anyway, it gives you cringy vibes.
It does, but the thing is like he was on Broadway, so I'm confused as to why the song is so bad.
Right. It's
Like, Dylan knows how to sing, so why is it only? It's like he's in one flat octave the whole time. So I don't know who the producer is. I think that this is honestly. I think she. I'm sorry, I keep messing it up. I think
Doesn't
Dylan
matter.
is trolling. I think he's trolling.
I think so too. Did you see the clip of Dylan doing stand-up comedy?
I did.
Yes. If you haven't heard it, guys, he was like, men hate me because I'm better at beer pong than them, and women hate me because their kids call me mother online. And I'm like, you know what you're doing. Like, you inherently know that you are a man and that you're posing as a woman. And I just don't understand why you can't admit that. Like, I think Dylan Mulvaney takes up way too much of the conversation. Don't get me wrong. I think it's like outrage over something that's really not that, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a deal. But he has such a big following, and he's specifically telling people, you can be a different gender. You can't. You're still a man, dude, and you know it. You know it.
Yeah, I mean, conservatives are partially to blame
Oh,
for
100%.
for the success, because at the end of the day, the outrage is what's made him so famous. But I mean, I think you have to have some sort of controversy to get famous, especially as famous as Dylan is. I mean, even look at Lady Gaga. She was wearing meat dresses. Or you look at, Kim Kardashian. She had a sex tape. It's all of these celebrities have the same story. There's always some sort of controversy that like skyrockets you into stardom. And I think this is Dylan's, I guess. I just wish that stardom would lead to quality products coming out, because this song is trash.
Yes. Also, again, like, Dylan, you want to wear like the wig and everything. Like, he needs to put like a brunette wig on. And I don't say that as a brunette. Like, I say it for his skin color, the palette, the whole ordeal. Like, the light blues, the light pinks, and the blonde, it's really not for him. So I'm just like, I want to help, if that makes sense.
I think Dylan would kill it as a ginger with a green dress on.
Gosh, actually, I still think it would look better than the blonde. It's really bad.
Than the blonde, for sure.
It's really
for
horrendous. Actually, speaking of this, the Dylan Mulvaney thing. I was on Jimmy Kimmel not that long ago, and I've been wanting.
You were.
I didn't want to be, but I was.
One of your videos.
One of my videos got played on Jimmy Kimmel, and basically I was saying that no gay man with genuine taste that was trying to build an actual home would have these fugly nutcrackers with like the LGBT pride flag on it. And as we're going to call you the resident gay for today, can you please tell me that I'm not wrong? Because I feel very wrong.
I need to see the nutcrackers.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see if I can pull it up. Gay.
I can Google it on my phone if you need. Gay, I don't know if you should Google gay nutcracker.
No, I did. It's available on Amazon, and they're kind of racist too. Like, here.
Oh gosh.
It's funny. Thoughts?
You know, I don't have pride flags anywhere in my house, so that's the first thought. There's enough nut cracking going on in most gay men's home where they don't have to buy a nutcracker. This is absolutely not anything that I would buy. I don't feel the need to. No, absolutely not.
It's for activists. It's for the activists you absolutely hate.
No gay man is buying this. Okay, they're buying vintage nutcrackers that match whatever other decorations they have. The only people that are buying this are non-binary they thems who work at Starbucks and haven't showered in 3 days.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, clip it, send it to Jimmy. Let's do it.
Yeah, Jimmy, please put me on your show and then ask me questions about what truly gay people will put in their homes, you liar.
Such a liar. Oh my gosh. All right, let's get into, for our final little segment, one of my favorite segments. We call it Random Racism, and it's exactly how it sounds. Racism that is incredibly random. All right, let's watch this video together.
I'm against racism. I'm against oppression.
Have you experienced racism?
Well, no, but that doesn't mean that I can't be against it, because racism is called by capitalism. Yeah, and we have to overthrow capitalism to get rid of it, to get rid of racism.
So this is such a pinnacle video that you would react to. I was like, I can't not play this for you and elicit your reaction.
The word vomit, I just can't. What does capitalism even mean to them? It's like everyone's boogeyman. They just blame everything on capitalism and racism, anything they don't like in society. What do you mean overthrow and replace it with what? What do you want to replace it with?
I don't think.
And how is that going to get rid of? No, I'm sure. You know what's crazy? We're probably using their correct pronouns.
Oh yeah, shit.
I mean, I don't know. I just, it gets so tiring looking at these videos and seeing these activists. I just wonder, like, I wish I could step into their bodies for a day. Not their bodies, no. Their brains for a day to understand it just a little bit, because I've tried on multiple occasions and I just can't bring myself to that level of schizophrenia.
I know. I was reading this really cool article. I read this all the time. It's a Substack about people who talk about their transition, their detransition, their or like parents that have gone through this and kind of the PTSD that they get as having a child that's gone through this. And one girl yesterday, she's 14 years old, writing about how she thought she was transgender at 11, started, getting on the pathway to it, ultimately decided not to at the age of 14. And it really is insane that inside of this bubble that you and I sincerely were not privy to in the way that other kids are when it's, your whole life. They really do learn that capitalism, racism, your parents, and people like us are the scariest thing, and we actually want to murder them. Like, it's not a hypothetical. It's we want to kill them. And it's so, I can't live in that space. I could never understand that because these people live in something so far away from reality.
I look at it as religion because it's like, and I'm not anti-religious. My religion's my business. I don't share it with anybody. But I look at it in the same way that like Christians look at the devil, right? So their devil is capitalism.
That's very true.
And white people, and whether or not you believe the devil is mythological, if you were to like base it in logic and reason, you can't really use the devil as your excuse on like a wide scale.
100%.
So when they're looking at the world, they're like, oh, well, capitalism is the reason for all these problems. And if you just replace capitalism with the devil, you'll understand their way of thinking. And that's how I've tried to understand it. But then when you truly ask them, you're like, okay, well, what does capitalism actually mean? all they do is talk about human nature and the bad parts of it. And they flip that, and they don't actually think humans are inherently bad. They think it's just capitalism that made us bad. So I don't know. I think that it's become a religion, and it's really infected a lot of our educational spaces, and it makes me really worried, if I'm being honest.
I know. You don't have to answer this, but like theoretically, I'm thinking about having kids, obviously. I don't know if that's in the plans for you.
Yes, yeah, I definitely want kids.
Hopefully. I was gonna say you'd be such a great dad. But I look at this and I'm like, I don't want to send my kid to a public school ever. Like, we're talking about getting houses. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter what school district we're in, just get a nice house, because they're not going to these schools anyway. They're Looney Tunes.
Well, yeah, it's not even just public schools, it's private schools too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you look at the private schools in New York, especially like the ones in New York City, they're just as bad.
They're worse.
I was homeschooled up until middle school.
Really?
And I was, because we were competitive gymnasts, like my whole family was, and we were doing that full time.
Makes sense.
But I am so thankful that I was homeschooled, because I feel like it gave me the opportunity to like develop individuality before I got put into the world. So then when I went to middle school, I was this like whole character of myself, and people were like, this dude is just out there. But I attribute that to being able to have freedom as a child. And I think that if you are a parent and you can homeschool your kids, by all means, do it.
I couldn't agree more. I always say I would have thrived in a homeschooling environment or like a hybrid environment. Everyone was complaining about COVID online. I'm like, I would have thrived as a high schooler in that environment. And I just don't think, I think that the capitalism as a boogeyman is terrible, but the fact that we can't not disagree, or we can disagree or agree to disagree on this, but like capitalism in its like raw form, which is how we got public schools nowadays anyway, it's not the best. Like, we don't want to create a production line of kids to all think the exact same thing,
right,
which is what capitalism produced in the original version of public school. But we as humans should be smart enough to adapt that and change that over the years. And yet we haven't, because of government regulation, which is why I'm like, capitalism's not your problem. It's really the federal government. But we can all agree to disagree on that. Anyway, thank you so much, friend, for coming on and chatting with me about all this stuff. It was a true pleasure to have you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It's Clarkson Lawson. I'm also launching a new show on YouTube next month. So I'm super excited about that. That's why I have this throne here.
I love it. I'm obsessed.
It's been pushed back a little bit because my editor was getting married and all that stuff, but I'm super excited for it to launch.
Oh my gosh,
I'll have to have you on.
We can't wait. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I will drop links below. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Underreported Stories podcast, and we'll see you here next time. Thanks so much for tuning into the Underreported Stories podcast. Be sure to subscribe and download this podcast or share it with a friend. If you like what you heard, please leave a comment about how funny and intelligent I am. Thank you, friends. Bye.